it would have been better if you'd have fallen off that cliff.
But no disrespect. I just hope you fall off a cliff.
It looked like a diabetic house cat.
Yeah, because they eat the ass out first.
Dessert first, huh?
What the hell does that mean?
He's just eating the colon and poop's just falling on the ground. It's disgusting.
Don't knock it till you try it. You know what I mean?
Never show my person.
I love when people have vendettas against giant companies.
The curvature of the what?
The earth is flat. All right. Full transparency. We lost about 30 minutes of our previous conversation.
Power surge.
So we're going to need to take a break from what we were talking about, which everybody hates anyway, is hunting. And we'll circle back to it because I can't revisit that this close and actually have a good conversation about it.
Yeah,
it'll
be regurgitated. It'll be
somewhere in your field over there. There's a vegan with a pair of scissors that just cut the right cord.
Somebody hacked it all.
What happens if we lose power again?
I think we go home. I think you
yeah.
start. You just call it a day.
Call it quits. Is there a way to like back that thing up can you set it to where it backs up every like 15 minutes?
I will look
almost
into
like
it.
Like when you're writing a paper in high school or college, you had to like
every
15 minutes you just autosave just to make sure.
Autosave, yeah.
No.
I'll have to do some research.
Research that.
Google so we started. We had a hunting discussion. We'll come back to it later.
Yep. Can we get? I've talked about this. We need recliners, right?
We just got at this before you guys walked in.
Yeah. We need a new table in that case, but yeah.
Like maybe some tables in between where the mic stands are on, so we can just talk into the mic stand. But I would be okay with that.
100%.
We might have to change the feng shui up in here a little bit, like lower some things and probably add some things to these walls, a little bit. Put an elk head here or something just to piss people off.
Maybe some of my trophies, some gold medals.
Some of your trophies.
Yeah.
I mean, mine are sitting in my closet somewhere, and I think one or two are in my.
I can bring one of my shadow boxes. My mom made a shadow
Your
box.
Mommy made you a shadow box?
I could bring one.
Hillary tried to make one shadow box, and then she was like, this took too much time. I'm not doing the same one. I think it's downstairs.
I'm sure you could send those somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, probably could.
Oh, yeah, my mom.
I just want to take the time or spend the money. I don't really care that much,
Oh.
Well, let's set it up, actually, because I think that the wider discussion is interesting, too. We're like, the way we started before the power outage was like, hey, is this a hunting podcast now? Because you get that a lot, right? Yeah. But obviously, we're a fitness company. Obviously, you guys are both still in the competitive fitness space. But the point was,
hunting involves fitness. We're big on if you're going to be fit, use your fitness.
Yeah.
That's something that is kind of near and dear to me currently. It's just something we're doing right now. Like it's that time of year for a lot of us. These guys are out whitetail hunting a ton. I'm still just haven't caught the whitetail bug. Maybe if I killed something, I might.
If you killed a big buck, it might be a little.
If I killed a buck, it'd be different. But I'm not there yet. But elk hunting is, man, it's kind of in my blood at the moment. Like it's what I like to do and be out there and.
Yeah, I think you made a good point this morning too. It's like, hey, this is a Mayhem show and it's the Rich Froning podcast. It's a Mayhem show.
Yeah.
And that would even pertain to like Christianity, maybe it's not your flavor,
maybe
but
it's not flavor. But
what's happening around here?
That's who we are, and
you're
you're
going to be talking
watching
about.
our podcast or listening to our podcast. So that's what you're going to get. We have had some comments. Well, especially on that last. I didn't look at much of the last elk hunting post, but they're like, I just came here for fitness, and you're doing this, and I'm like, okay, then
I wrecked them in the
move
comments.
Along. Wrecked them, damn near killed them. And so I will say there was one comment that Scott sent to me that was pretty dang good. Because it's the one where I'm looking at off into the distance, and it looks like I'm sitting on a cliff, when in all reality, I'm sitting on a rock that's a foot above. Like if you went to the other side, there's no cliff whatsoever. Scott did a really good job of framing, and it looks like I'm in like this perilous, dangerous situation. And they were like, it would have been better if you'd have fallen off that cliff. I was like, that's actually pretty good.
Do you hear what I said back to him? I said, well, even though base jumping is fun, this is actually a hunting trip. I can see the confusion, though.
Did you get in there and go after people?
Yeah, I had a couple witty ones, and I had a couple like just mean. There was one lady. She said, "Oh gosh."
The one of the good ones I saw that Brian sent was like somebody was like genuine question. They led with genuine question, and then went completely like condescending.
Yeah.
And so Brian laid into her.
Yeah, Brian.
And the lady's like, oh, I said genuine question. I'm like, just because you say genuine question,
no offense,
doesn't mean no offense or bless
you're an
your
idiot.
heart. Yeah, exactly. Like
you're an idiot.
Just because you say genuine question and then
no disrespect. I just hope you fall off a cliff.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Yeah. Exactly. I hope you die.
Yeah.
And so you're just like, wow. people are, man, it's crazy how offended people get by that.
Like it's Ted when he goes, "Hey, from one man to another, I hope you get Lou Gehrig's disease." He sits on Ted.
It's too far. It's too far. But yeah, I'm just like, come on, man. Like, hey, here's the deal: is if I don't like something, just scroll past it.
Amen.
You know, like
yes.
Yeah, if you fell off that cliff, you would have gotten a mean grass stain, probably.
Mean grass stain on my Sitka pants.
A bumped up knee.
Yeah.
Actually, probably wouldn't even seen it, you know, because it's
Would've
brown
helped
pants.
added to the camo.
Yeah, that's right. So,
But you
man,
know, Mayhem Athletes always there. That's going to be That's going to be training focused.
going out and doing stuff, you know, and I think, you know,
But if you're a follower of Rich Froning does the things that Rich Froning likes to
and
do.
it blows my mind that people are surprised by it. And we've done quite a few
So
hunting
much.
posts, and those are the most involvement we get. So
Yeah.
almost,
too,
why
even.
wouldn't we do that?
It's going to keep coming.
You know, like it had, I think, the most likes it's had in a long time.
Yeah, the
And then
comments
the
help
most
the algorithm
comments
so
are,
much.
yeah. So it's just like, why would you not
Right.
do that? So,
My
you know,
hunting-
there is
all
a
my
piece
hunting
to it
posts
of
do
like,
well.
hey, why are you glorifying this? And I'm like, because it was a lot of hard work. You know, like it took me and Scott 3 trips, 15 days in the woods, numerous miles. And so, like, yeah, I'm going to celebrate it a little bit. You know, I want to, you know, because I'm getting it mounted, you know, like I want to get the picture of us with it and put it with there so I have the memory of it. And
I think, like we talked about with Robbie too, part of it is glorifying the process.
Yeah.
So the first post might be you with an elk, but the whole process is in there.
Yeah.
yeah, you put 5 pictures on there of like everything that went in. And then,
Yeah. The
We
clip
got-
date is
the best part-
is the dead animal.
The best part is the pack out.
yeah.
That's more fun to me than the kill shot.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, getting to see the animal and getting up close and
Yeah.
like putting your hands on it
yeah,
and,
that
and
is
like
cool.
quartering it up and all that type of stuff.
And
is
eating it.
a ton
It's
of fun.
cool
And eating
because
That's
you
great
like
too.
the whole process. I mean, the whole process is fun. Yeah. You know, that's the hard part is like, I think people think that you're just, oh, you shoot it and there's no feelings. Yeah. There's some
No
remorse
way,
that like,
yeah.
hey man, this thing died and
Yep.
it's a life and it was taken, but I'm going to feed my family. I'm going to feed some good friends, some, you know, anybody that wants
Yeah.
to take it. Like it's there.
you have
And
the
so-
you're gonna have the mount, so you have the stories.
and it's real food, real meat. We know where it came from.
And that side of the discussions also makes me laugh with the negativity when, so people that I admire, like a lot of the comments that I'll see, they'll be like, I just, you know, I really respected you, or I really like love what you did as an athlete, but this is just over the top, or whatever, you know, whatever the follow up is. And I'm like, well, if you really loved him as an athlete and you really did respect him as a person, like you think that what he does is cool, but then all of a sudden there's this thing, maybe instead like seek to understand, like maybe you learn from it.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something you can actually, instead of just like
Just write it off.
immediately,
Yeah,
you
write it
know,
off.
instead of writing it off.
One thing, you know,
Yeah.
like I guarantee there's worse things that I do that you probably don't know
Yeah.
about, you know, like,
Yeah.
and that's the one thing that you pick up
Yeah.
on, you know,
But yeah, there's plenty of people that I follow because I think that they're extremely interesting people, or they've accomplished amazing
and you
things.
like
but then I see a
most
post,
of
I'm
their
like,
things. You're
that's
like,
not really my thing, you
I'm
know?
move
Like,
on.
yeah, move
good
on.
for you. Yep.
Or it
that-
informs me about
the
something.
thing that Ranella said about deer was, he said, I love deer more than I love this deer, or something very similar
Overall,
to that.
the-
Yeah,
the
he said, I
idea.
love the idea of them more than I love this one. And I mean, we talked about it.
Well,
on
yeah,
several
so
podcasts about
this
the
is what I
conversa-
keep coming back to, and what Robbie, the best explanation I heard when we had Robbie on here. So if you heard it, you know, if you listen to the podcast, you've already heard this, but some people probably moved
It's
right
so
on
good. I
past
think about that podcast all
Dude,
the time.
the fact that the way he put it, and I never really thought about it in this terms. If you're a vegan, vegetarian, whatever, what do you want? You want more animals, better habitat, better life for those animals is what you want, right? As a hunter, what do you want?
Yeah, same thing.
More animals, a
Yeah.
better habitat for those animals. We both want the same thing. And if you really look at it, apples to apples,
Yeah.
the people that are putting the most money into wildlife and the habitat and all that is hunters.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not talking about poachers and like this guy
Yeah.
that you heard about that cheated with the, this just came outside. I'm subscribed to Meat Eater emails, so I'll get their articles all the
Yeah.
time. They have some like informative stuff on there. But the guy that put the weight in his fish on
Yeah.
the fishing thing,
Yeah.
also, did you hear about this? He just got arrested or he's
Fine or take his
whatever.
license away.
He's been banned from hunting since 2013, and they found 7 mounts in his house, and he tagged them under his wife, and his wife's like, I didn't kill those. So
Oh,
he's
wow.
been poaching deer
Deer.
for like however many long years. So that's the
10
type
years.
of stories you hear, and people get a bad name with
Yeah.
hunting. You know,
Yeah.
like those aren't hunters.
Right.
No.
Those are poachers.
Well, and then the other ones are strictly don't want to see an animal die, and those fall into 2 camps, right? One is like, yeah, you're a vegan, And the other one is like, I'll eat meat if it comes from the grocery store.
That one
like
blows my mind. I can't level
this
with
inability
that
or
one.
just
disconnection.
Yes, disconnection, or just like invincible ignorance that they refuse to understand that that meat actually was an animal at some point
And
just
lived a horrible life, probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the thing that we don't have to keep talking about this because I know we've talked about it so much about the vegans. The farming of the vegan products kills they have to, just like any other farm, they have to kill animals to be able to harvest that crop. Like that's what happens at farms.
Well,
if you don't,
not only do those animals get killed, but you've taken a habitat away from animals. Like, it's just like,
you need to do extra farming, and you have to take the habitat away. And then if a family of rabbits wants to eat it, you have to kill them somehow or get them out of there, or they're not going to have any crop to sell you at the
there are
grocery
special
store.
tags for damaged tags. So like if an animal is ruining some crop, you can get X amount of extra tags. Remember in Colorado, he had damaged tags, so they could just kill basically any that they wanted on these damaged tags.
That's how.
So it's like, it just.
I think that's what Sam was telling me. Like in Michigan, if you have so big of a farm,
you get a certain amount of tags.
You can kill extra deer or whatever, based on, or maybe it was even, I don't know. I think we were talking about sandhill cranes because I think it's illegal to hunt them there.
Yeah,
but they
you can here in some spots.
I think you can,
right?
yeah,
in some spots.
But the problem is with their beak, they go down and rip out ribeye in the sky. They go down and they'll eat the seed and they'll pull it out or whatever Sam was telling me. I can't remember, but they'll eat the crop before it even has a chance to grow, and the farmers want to hunt them. They're like, get these things out of here. They're killing our crop because we can't do anything about it. We just watch it happen.
What should you be eating to reach your goals? The experts at RP Strength have it down to a science. Answer a few questions about your goals, activity level, and lifestyle, and the RP Diet app takes care of the rest. Get a year of nutrition help from RP Strength and RP Diet app for only $89.99 at www.rp.app/code/Froning.
Crazy.
Suffice it to say, passionate topic. We'll come back to it.
Well, I mean, we can, since we're already on hunting, talk about
right.
the last hunt we went on. We've already talked about this, so it might be a little shorter this time. But we went to Idaho, Boulder Creek Outfitters, Matt Craig, his dad, Tim. Was it Tim?
Yes.
Cool setup up there in white bird. I just kept saying white, different animals.
White raccoon.
The town is way out there, but you can see it from where we were up.
5 hours from Boise, the airport.
5 hours from Boise.
Wow.
We didn't get in night one until 2 a.m. 2:30 to get up at 5 to hunt. And so met, thanks to Christy and Lee and the Most Wanted list. That was a ton of fun.
So this is a TV show, right?
Yep.
Where will that go?
I think Sportsman Channel, she was talking about they were switching platforms maybe at some point. We'll let you know. Scott will have a video too.
Okay.
With
It's called Most Wanted.
The Most Wanted list.
Is that a reference to the hunters or the hunted?
Yeah.
I would assume the hunted.
Okay.
Cool experience, ton of fun. Rifle's just different. We talked about it earlier, but not that, nothing to take away from rifle hunting, but there's just something that I like and enjoy more of bow hunting. It's just hard to, if I'm going to do 2 or 3 hunts, I can't be gone for a whole month out of the year. So, but nice bull, cool spot, different style of hunting. We're used to running and gunning and moving and all this. And this was just kind of a find them and hope they move, and they didn't move. And so
you almost had to
and it was 70 degrees and clear skies and it was hot. And so the one day when we actually killed something, it had dropped, 15, 20 degrees and was overcast. The first couple of days we'd spot. We had a herd come across, we think, probably right before we got there. They were like 100 yards from the property line. We watched a bull one day come in from about a mile away into like 200 yards from the property line, but just wasn't coming up the hill. And so
would you say that it was more this hunt is more about like
patience?
Yeah, and not bumping them because they're there. You just don't know how to attack them, opposed to you almost have to go searching for them when you.
Yes and no. The hard part was we had one that was bugling up on top of this hill, and would bugle like nonstop if you bugled at him. I think if I had my call, I would have probably wrongfully so just every time he'd bugle right back at him like loud and aggressively, you might have been able to peel him out of there, but he was with so many cows, probably not.
Post-rut, and so he wasn't
Yeah,
really
so it's post-rut. So post-rut, they're looking at getting fat from where they've just been running around. They're with cows, so they want water, they want food, and they want security. And so on this particular piece of property, there was plentiful amounts of food. There were different water sources, and there was a water source. It was kind of like a stepping stone to another set of water source, but there was no security. It was pretty wide open, so you'd have to catch them coming across. Yeah. And so, they out there, you just hunt it different. And so, like, for us, it was just completely different from what we're used to. And me and Scott are like, well, they're not out. Let's go get them. You know? And so on day 4, I think Matt, not that he got tired of us, but, we'd be like, hey, what if we went down to the river? Hey, how would we get to the river? Hey, could we peel off by ourselves and go to the, like we were ready to go, because it's just hard. Like we sat one day, me and Scott, 5-minute intervals for 2 hours. So at some point there was eyes on this hill, on this big, vast open spot. And there was a bull they found farther down another group. But me and Scott sat there for 2 hours, eyes exhausted from glassing. And we even, like, after that, we did 2 hours of that, and then we tried to, like, come down and then where we could look up into it. Like, it was chaos. We would do our side quests. Me and Scott are real good at side quests.
And they must be juggling, like, because the other people that were there. I know
so that's the hard part too. Is like Matt's got his group.
Yeah.
And we're at a hunting camp and an outfitter, so there's probably 15 other guys hunting, with guides. And so, like, you don't want to encroach on different guys' spots. And so he's playing this logistics game, and on him, he's got to get it's a TV show.
Yeah.
And so he's got to make sure to get a kill, but he's also got to not piss off the other guys at camp, like, oh, they're giving them the good spots because,
those
they're
a TV
show. Those guys paid to come. So he's juggling. And like I said, they did an incredible job of that.
And it was you.
Me.
And then a girl who does the, what's it called?
Noodling.
Yep.
Yeah. So like
that's crazy.
Scott, I guess Scott, I count Scott as a guest, but Chuck Wicks, country singer, he owns Prestige downtown in Nashville. They kind of do like a Cirque du Soleil comedy type thing.
Okay.
Real good dude. We had a ton of fun. We called our little bungalow the Hornet's Nest because we all got stung, well, minus Scott, stung by hornets in the middle of the night. The first night we get there, Chuck starts like, and Scott had known Chuck for like 5 hours. I'd met Chuck 5 hours previous, but didn't ride in the car with him. So I know him, but don't know him, right? And so middle of the night, he gets out, oh, something in my bed, like freaking out. I'm like, what a pansy. It's probably like a spider or a bug or something, whatever. So I go back to sleep. Next morning, I'm like, hey, you all right? There was something in your bed. He's like, dude, I got stung. And I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And so, I'm making fun of him for having something in his bed. Next night, I go to get in bed. I get hit on the calf and in the ankle by a freaking yellow jacket, like a hornet yellow jacket.
That's the worst.
I get it out, stomp on it, kill it. Take that, vegans. And so I'm like, whatever. All right. I get it. Middle of the night, I get stung again on my hip. I'm like, what the hell? So we call it the Hornet's Nest. But we became pretty close friends with Chuck. Chuck's a good dude. But I would say me and Scott, we would kind of split off into our groups. Me and Scott would usually walk around quite a bit. A lot of people would kind of stay at the top and glass. But we would go on side quests every day, multiple times a day. We hung out a lot with the guide, hung out a lot with Chuck. But for the most part, we were just, everybody would arrive together. A couple of days, we split up into two completely different groups. But then from there, me and Scott would like sit for a minute, and then we'd be like,
where are you going? Where are you going to
go? Let's go a little lower. Let's go look down here. And so we did that a lot. You have something to say, Scott? No. And so, it was a ton of fun. But like I said, it was just different. And so day 4, like I said, I think Matt finally got tired of us. It was Chuck's last day. He was trying to pull a little Hail Mary, and so we just kept going down. In Matt's defense, he just had hip replacement surgery 3 months prior, so he moved well I was impressed with that. But so me and Scott would just kind of keep creeping lower. We'd stop and glass, and everybody would stop, and me and Scott would be like, let's go a little farther, and we did that. And came across a black bear. It was a pretty small black bear, but I was like, if it was my last day, because you could interchange for a predator tag. And so Chuck passed on that. Me and Scott are like, all right, we're going lower. We keep going lower because you'd kind of get to these points where it'd do this and then drop and this and drop. And so you're like, let's just see if we can see over that next little spot. And then you get to another spot. You're like, dang it, there's another spot. Let's go down there. And so me and Scott kept doing that. In the process, we look back up, and they're glassing in this kind of like ravine between these ridges. And I'm trying to figure out what it is, and I see that they're going after a mountain lion. I'm like, sweet. Let's us stay on the other side so we're shielded from, what they're working on here, and let's just keep going lower. And me and Scott sit at this spot, and right when we sit down, we both say, elk, at the same time. This cow pops up out of the bottom of the river, because there's, at that time of year, I can't remember if I said this on the last time we did this or this time, their food, water, and sanctuary. So they want protection from hunters, from pressure, whatever. So for the most part, the pressure is up top, and it's pushing them down bottom. It's cooler in the bottom with that river. It's just good for them. So in theory, we thought, hey, let's go down to the bottom. And then I think a couple guys the previous day had killed some in the bottom, which gave us a little bit of a lead.
Yeah, it was, I think 3 guys got bulls out of the bottom.
Yeah,
Wow.
It was 2 or 3, and then a mule deer, I think is what it was. I think it was 2 elk
2
and a mule deer.
That's right.
And so we were like, we got to go. And so I think Matt was finally like, all right, shut up, we'll go. And so, like I said, we get down there, have these elk. Me and Scott are talking. He's like, I got to get the long lens because we're about 500-600 yards out. And I'm like, if I see a shootable, like a shooter bull, a 6x, I'm shooting and I'm not waiting for you. He's like, yeah, but I need the long lens. I'm like, I can't promise you I will not shoot. And we had dropped our packs about 400 yards up. So Scott takes off, right? And so
if it was for our YouTube, I would have just stayed with him. But I figured, well, if he's going to shoot something, the TV show.
Because you were the only shooter there.
No, we had another, but he was
up higher. It was just me and Scott on a side quest.
And so I wanted to get the kill shot for the sake of the TV show.
Yeah.
If he shot.
And so I sit there.
Hey, not all heroes wear capes, Scott.
I sit there for like 15 or 20 seconds, and I'm contemplating. Well, the cows move across. There's like a rock outcropping down here about 120 or 100, 200 yards, and the cows walk behind it. And so I see I'm like, hey, I can close some distance here. I look down, and I see Scott's camera. I'm like, later camera, and I take off. And in the process, like, I close the distance, probably 200 yards, and I've got this perfect like rock outcropping that I can stand and like scan, and I'm waiting for this 6x to come out, right? Scott comes down cussing me, like hand full of camera, tripod, pouring sweat because he'd had to go up 450 yards probably, and then now had to come down 600.
And find my camera.
And find his camera. And then come 2 or 3 extra guys. And so I'm trying to talk Chuck into taking the shot because I'm like, I've got 2 more days. We haven't found a 6x6 in this group, but there's a 5x5 or a 5x4. We couldn't tell if he had a broken off tine back here. And so Chuck's hemming and hawing, and he's killed some big elk. Like, he's went with Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation and hunt. Like, he killed, I think, a 340, which I still don't. Oh, wow. I know what that means, but I don't know what that means.
It might have been a 340 in New Mexico and a 370 in Montana.
Anyway, he's killed some really big elk that I've never even laid eyes on before.
Yeah.
And so, once again, like me and Matt Chan were talking about this, and I'm like, I don't know what that. I know what that means, but I don't know what that means. Like, I've never seen that to even put a like.
It's
I know it's huge.
Yeah, I've never seen it either.
I guarantee mine maybe like a 240.
Yeah.
When I killed last year, this one's probably in the 270-ish range that I killed this year. If I had to guess, could be completely wrong. I could have
probably,
had could be like a 250 and a 220. I have no idea, nor do I really care. Like if it's a legal bull, I'm especially with a bow, I'm gonna shoot it.
Yeah.
Where with a rifle, you can probably be a little bit more choosy, especially like I said,
depending on the area
where we were at.
Yeah.
And so So Chuck kind of him and hawing about taking the shot, and the guide is, to his credit, I mean, he's thinking about, he just had this hip replaced. He's trying to, like, for the show, get some big elk. This isn't a big elk. There's some things going on. But I'm the devil on Chuck's shoulder, and I'm like, shoot it. Just shoot it. Just kill it. Shoot it.
And every time you saw something.
And then
there's a bear there. You want to shoot it?
Exactly. I tried the bear, the mountain lion, and I'm this little devil. And then the guide, Matt's the angel. He's like, we're going to have to, like, carry this thing out. It's late. Blah, 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 like going back and forth with him. And Chuck finally is like, all right, I'm going to shoot it. And by the time he decides to shoot it, they winded us and are going around the bottom of the ridge. So we bust up and over, try to get set up. He can't get set up. It's like pitched like this. It's like a 500-yard shot. They're not stopping. Well, then a little a good-sized cinnamon bear pops out. And so then it's on again. I'm like, shoot it. Just shoot it. And Matt's like, he's kind of far. He's quartered away. And this thing turns to take a dump broadside. And Chuck's like, all right, I'm going to shoot it. But he has no, like, the pack that we were using, it was like folding and crumpling and moving, and he couldn't get it. Rightfully so. He shouldn't have taken a shot.
Yeah.
But I'm like, shoot it. And then the other guy, Tyler, the camera guy's like, are we on a hunting show or what? So, but it felt good that, we'd gotten into elk and we'd actually done, used some of the stuff that we've learned. And, I've done it used to be Elk 101. It's now called Outdoor Class, but they have some like modules that you can go through. And on the way home from Florida, when we went for the family trip, I watched all of the modules of like rifle hunting, elk, and then also archery, which I knew a ton of archery from where we've learned so much.
Yeah. Is that on the Tennessee one, the website, or is this
no?
It's
got an app called Outdoor Class. It's got Remy Warren on it and some other guys, and it's pretty cool. Yeah.
We joked about the guide already, but like I think about it as the same way I try and talk my kids out of stuff. You know, they're like, "Oh, can we go to like the water park today?" And I'm like, "Oh, guys, like
it's hot
air
today,
temperature by the time we get there is going to be pretty unreliable. Like, you know, I'm not sure if you guys want to spend out of your own money. You could do it out of your own money.
Yeah.
There's thunderstorms rolling.
Thunderstorms coming in. Yeah, probably gonna be really crowded. It's a Saturday. You guys don't want to do that.
yeah, you wouldn't like it. Trust me.
That pack out would
a lot of bullies at that water park.
Yeah.
That what?
That pack out would have sucked.
That pack out would have been a nightmare.
I mean, we would have been in there till midnight. Probably.
We were 1,400, 1,600 feet down, and then 0.8 miles back up to the top, and then there's probably another half mile to the side by side, right? I mean, when we got done with that, I was like, this is elk hunting. You know, like it just felt right. The days before, like we'd done some pretty decent. Like anytime we'd walk down, we'd have like a 45-minute like just steady walk back. It wasn't terrible, but it was uphill, and you know, you felt like, all right, I did some zone 2, but this felt like you could walk for like 15, 20 minutes, and you'd have to like, at some point, Scott's like, I can't stop because it hurts worse to stop because I mean, it's pitched like this.
It was worse to stand still for me than just to keep walking.
And your legs by the end of it are like a little shaky, and it's fun because you got 20, 30 pound dude, and carrying a rifle sucks. And also, I forgot about this part of it. There's a mountain lion in the area. Yeah. We don't know where it's at. And so like, for the most part, this ridge is pretty wide open. And you're on the grassy side of it, but every once in a while, the elk trail would take you to the like right at the edge of the tree line, and we're at 7 o'clock, so it's pitch black.
Oh yeah.
And so I've got that rifle in the side of my pack, and so every time we'd get to the edge of the trees, I would just kind of put that rifle right on the back of my neck. So I was like, if that thing comes for my neck, because that's what they'll do is they'll run like grab the back of your neck and try to paralyze you. Or they'll come for the front of your jugular.
That's crazy.
And so I'm just holding the rifle like, you know, Scott's just free to the wind. I'm like, I got some, you know.
Be over the shoulder with the finger on the trigger.
Yeah, right. Time, you know? I just wanted the thing to like, if it went to bite my neck, it would grab the barrel before it'd get my, you know. So it was.
Cut it off.
You have that part of it where you're like, oh no, I'm not worried about that. But part of you is like,
it's different.
I'm
like
very worried about that.
Now I'm not like I'll walk into the woods here, totally fine. But like when I first started, I was like a little nervous doing it. Because I didn't know anything about coyote. Like I thought maybe a coyote would jump and attack you. Like no way. But with mountain lions, it's totally different.
Mountain lion and grizzly bears are not something I want to mess with.
No,
when we were on that Kodiak hunt, they were telling us terrifying stories. Like you'd be dragging a deer down. Tells a story about a dude who like he just kind of fell on his ass, which happens when you're walking on tundra grass anyways. But he looked back and there was a bear running off with his deer. Like it had come up that close to him, nabbed his deer, and like he pulled him onto his butt, but he didn't know what happened. And he turned around and there it was. Like
that's terrifying.
And those mountain lions, they are huge.
Oh, yeah.
Dude,
how big
they were talking about the trophies.
They said
they wouldn't measure.
have the top 3.
No.
I think one of the top 3 mountain lion kills in the state.
Yeah.
He showed us a picture of one.
They would have had 5th all time, but the guy that killed it wouldn't get it scored.
Yeah, the guy wouldn't score it. Dude, I can't explain. It looked fake. It looked like a diabetic house cat. Oh, gosh. And the guy's like trying to hold it like this. Like even its head reminded me of like, there was a show, not Garfield. It was another cat TV show in the 90s. I'll look it up.
I don't know. I'll know it as soon as you say it.
You guys are such psychos with your desire to like work out while you're hunting that when Mayhem Hunt takes off, you're gonna ruin hunting for everyone. Because I mean, now like thousands of soldiers out in the wilderness who can walk like,
hey, that's what we want.
Just cover ground.
Yeah.
You know?
Was it?
Everybody's gonna be pissed.
Cats 101, cat dog, scaredy cat, feeler.
I was gonna say cat dog, but I knew that
it's not cat dog. It's there's a picture.
There's somebody listening right now who's shouting the name.
Yeah, for sure.
Shouting the name.
I know it.
Listen to me.
Nature cat.
No.
I just Googled popular shows about cats.
No.
You
guys got it. I'm rolling.
Qualify 1990s.
I've got it on the picture.
Cat versus
dog. I just got to figure out the name. It's like one of those name those.
Cat.
There's a picture?
Yeah.
See the picture.
Hold on. No, because I'm trying to figure out the name. And but you're just like, this cat was huge. I'm glad we actually didn't see that picture of that cat.
SWAT cat.
Whoever types it in the comments.
Heathcliff.
Oh, dang it.
Heathcliff. Remember that cat? Heathcliff.
Oh, yeah. No.
That's what that cat looked like. I mean, its head was like circle like that.
Really?
It was huge.
How much do you think it weighed?
I have no idea. I don't know anything about mountain lions to like even give you an idea.
And there's wolves there.
Compare it to Gipper.
Were there wolves there? He said that area though they slaughtered all the wolves because some
they killed the ranchers' cows.
They killed some ranchers' cows, so they somehow collared the lead wolf and then just found him and slaughtered him.
The state did, right?
The state did it.
Yeah.
The state did it, not the outfitter.
That sounds intense.
Yeah. So what Matt was talking about was they do wilderness hunts there. So like they'll load you up on mules and take all of your stuff out like 15, 20 miles into the wilderness, and you hunt public land out there. I would want to do that.
That sounds
like
cool.
That would be fun. They said there's some monster bulls in there too because they just go out there and find sanctuary basically. But man, it was just it's cool. It's a learning experience of like, it's just a different style, a different game. Learned a lot that I don't have patience. I don't like to just sit and watch. I just feel like, like I know there's parts of that. Like you need to do that 100%, but I just love the like, hey, I hear a bugle. Let's like that day when this video comes out.
That's crazy.
It's awesome. Like
when
the archery video.
The archery video.
Yeah,
it's gonna go out next Wednesday.
Okay.
So when this will probably come out. It's probably tomorrow when this podcast releases.
Okay, so
It's
next
gonna be Tuesday. The movie basically on Wednesday. It's crazy.
I mean, it's a long video, but it's
15 minutes.
It needs it.
It's good. No, it's really really good.
Did you watch it yet?
I've seen little bits and pieces.
Yeah. Dude, that day is one of the coolest days without a kill that I've ever been.
Oh, it was nuts.
Oh man.
Because I actually started watching it and I was like, I guess I don't really want to give it away.
We already talked
did a
about
whole
it, so like people are gonna know.
Like I think there was a couple times where you bugle and maybe there was no response, or maybe just the way it looked, there wasn't a response. And I know there's a lot in between, but I was like, gosh, he's bugling too much. Because I actually didn't really remember it. I was like, oh, gosh, he's gonna scare everything away. He's bugling too much. And then you throw one out, and then you get a response. And then it seemed like every single one after that was response.
I in hindsight, I bugled too much. What we should have done is try to draw it in.
Yeah.
Maybe cow called a little bit, but I wasn't comfortable cow calling at that point. Like those are probably the first real bugles I've ever thrown. And so I was pleasantly, even listening to them, I'm like pleasantly surprised that they didn't sound like they were okay. There's a couple times a cow call earlier in the week. I wasn't as good. Later in the week, I think if I could have cow called like I did later in the week, but you just got to learn it. I did practice it a ton at home. Yeah. But once you get out there, it's just different,
Different. And you don't have a second chance. When you make that noise, it's out there.
Exactly. And so like you're just timid to do it. Mm-hmm. And then now I'm like, I feel comfortable that if I would have cow called, the hard part is without knowing, you got to know the terrain you're in, but you got to know the vegetation. The vegetation was more key than I think I look at a couple of those spots and I'm like, man, we should just set up there. But I don't know if he would have came into that, like we didn't know, was he with cows? Was he not with cows? It sounded
like on a couple of the ones where you guys were sitting, I think you even knocked an arrow at one point. It sounded like he was 50 yards away.
There was one, he closed within 15 yards. He bugles. There's one time, and it doesn't show it. You can't see it in the camera. When I do this, that's him looking at us. For 2 or 3 minutes, I don't think Scott
because I couldn't see it either.
He couldn't see it either.
Oh.
I'm like, stop moving. And he's like, what? And I'm like, he's right there with a couple of choice words.
Shuffling around with my feet.
Stop moving. And he's like, what? And I'm like, he's staring right at us. And he's like, where? And I'm like, right. I mean, he was at that speaker. I'm not kidding. Like at that speaker, he's doing like trying to figure us out. And he never figured us out is what he didn't like.
Yeah.
And so he took off probably 30 or 40 yards. And that's when you see us go again because he's bugling and raking. Every time I bugle, he rakes.
Yeah.
And so that's when we started the charge again. And then that group that we come in that video is not even him. It's a completely different group. So they were all over. And you just like.
And we didn't know those timbers were there. We probably would have.
If we'd have known those timbers were there, we get to the timbers there, get up higher than the timbers and come down.
Yep.
Now knowing the property, we can do that. But at the time, you're just like, oh. Like it's a nightmare. Like I relive that video and it's just a nightmare.
This is the same video where Ben provides some insight at the end?
Ben's insight is
that's the best part.
Did you see Ben's insight?
Yes, I watched.
Stay after the credits when you guys watch it.
Yeah, I watched.
Never
Ben's
stay for
ending.
if you don't ever stay for Marvel credits, like stay for that. It's pretty quick after the credits too, though.
It's really quick.
Ben does a really good job of setting up, like
kind of paint the picture a little better.
Like, oh man, I don't want to ruin it
because I won't say anything about that.
You can say it.
No, I won't say anything about that because he does give decent insight from a person who
You watch hunting videos.
Like when you watch
like,
hunting videos and you're like, oh man, that looks cool. I should go do that. And it's like, hey, maybe you should work out a while before you go do that because it's hard.
Well, so and that's kind of we can preface what we're gonna work on with Mayhem Hunt is like I don't want at no point do me and Scott ever look at somewhere and are like, should we go there?
Yep.
We like there's no limiting of like, should we go there? Can we get there? Or even should we go there because we're gonna have to get something out of there? And that's what I want.
Yeah, it's almost a matter of, I guess it's more a matter of, is it physically possible for us to get there? Okay, then yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I don't,
like,
and
are we
it's
going
not
to
even
scale a rock face?
Exactly. Like,
that's like
do I have the
thing.
technical skills to get
Yeah.
there? Like when we climb, and I don't think we do a good job of showing how nasty, because you couldn't film in that spot. We were on all fours climbing through this oak brush because there's literally the way.
I have one clip.
The way the wind came down at some point when these things were growing, all of the branches are pushed in your face. So like even if you look at the hillside when all the leaves are off, these trees just go like this and come down.
Yeah.
It's like you come from them from this side, it's okay, it's not great, but if you're coming up at them, it's almost like a medieval castle that they had just put a bunch. Like it's impossible. At some point, we just drop our packs and had to like just leave them. And which you never do.
Yeah.
Like in next year, we already have a plan for that. And then
You're like doing a full skate.
Ben set home on his Apple Watch, so we knew where they were, and we had it on Onyx marked. And then that's a whole nother story. Ben just sets off on march mode and not hunting, and bumps a whole nother herd of elk. So
forgets he's hunting for a little bit.
Yeah. Which I don't know if we would have saw him, but still.
I think the video does a good job to show kind of the adventure of the hunt and that sort of thing.
Oh, it does. Incredible.
It shows the cool parts of it. I mean, like, no one wants to watch you guys hike for 2 hours in or out of a spot. Like, no one would watch it. No. It's just that if you don't know, if you've never been, or if you haven't heard someone talk about it seriously, it looks like when I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm done.
The other thing too is a lot of popular hunting shows. They don't necessarily showcase as much the backstory, the adventure, all of that of the hunt. It's more about, hey, we went here,
you go glassing,
saw this animal,
you see something,
killed it,
yeah,
packed it out, whatever. But it's all that, I think, all the other stuff that's super interesting to me.
Yeah.
Well, especially when you're learning. We're in the learning phase of all this stuff. Like we've screwed it up more than we've done it right.
Yeah.
Which is that's the way to learn, I think. You can read all these classes and do all that stuff, and which are super valuable.
Yeah.
But until you get in those situations and mess it up, and you're like, you can't.
I mean, we're the same way. We got to learn the lesson the hard way. It's the only way.
It doesn't matter what somebody tells me.
I gotta learn it the hard way.
Yeah, I'm a professional.
Yeah. Play the wind. Got it. Play the wind.
What's that even mean?
Well, and it's cool. It's what's cool about YouTube also, because Scott knows this, but like, I bet you anything that when Most Wanted comes out, there'll be shockingly little footage of all the stuff that you guys remember, because they have to be in this 21-minute format, right?
Yeah.
They're making 4 episodes though.
Okay, so but even still, it's got to be like beginning, middle, end, beginning, middle, end, beginning, middle, end, and they can't go for an hour if they want to go for an hour. It's like,
they're gonna make it.
Yeah.
Tyler did film a lot of adventure footage, so we'll see.
Yeah, Tyler's a G. I liked him a lot. He's a good dude. Another camera guy.
So for the sake of comparison, and just a shameless tie-in, like how do Whoop numbers compare to like Leadville or like 24?
I got back-to-back 18 plus days.
Yeah, and that's big for you.
Yeah,
the 14 day. I mean, the climb out when we went down, and then the next day with the pack out were my highest 2 strains. The other days I was like 11, 12, something like that, which is really light. I think when we looked at it, the pack out took me 25 minutes, and I want to say like my heart rate got up there.
Like zone 4, right?
Me and Scott just turned into. We both look at each other. I'm like, "Hey,
go home mode."
Well, let's Scott. When Scott goes to go home mode, just don't even try to keep up, because he's got those long legs. Like if Scott has one thing, it's like hiking, and the dude can just go. He's got a motor. There's no it's just gonna go. And so I'm like, hey, let's not run each other into the ground on this, because I'm not gonna let him win. He's not gonna let me win. And so I can see if I can find the day. And so we got back, and here's the deal: is like we've done it a lot now that what I do and what we both do is you look for an elk trail, because elk for the most part are pretty darn lazy, so they want to find the easiest way home, and so you just find an elk trail. Well, at one point we get to some we get to some side hilling because the elk trail kind of disappears in these rocks, and Scott's like, I can't do this anymore. And so he just takes off straight up this hill.
I can go up, I can go down. I cannot side hill.
And where I'm like, all right, I can side hill for a little bit because I can see a trail up there. And sure enough, like for most of it, I had it was like a national forest style trail because these elk just hammer this trail.
Yeah.
And so I'd say 60, 65, 70% of it, I was on nice trail. I mean, it was steep in some spots, but you could see it cut into the side of the hill, and I can hammer that. Like I just on that. And so me and Scott split at one point. We walked together to one point, and he goes up, and I just kind of kept doing this, like up, up, over. And I think I got him by 3 or 4 minutes just because I stayed on like the most efficient path.
Yeah.
I think so for a 25-minute pack out on Whoop, it was 12.8 strain, zone 5 for 3 minutes, zone 4 for 18 minutes. And so you're just grinding. We both had a ham on the back. And, you know, the funny part is like they pride themselves on, you know, they pack out, which was astonishing to me. This is something that I am ashamed of hunters for. They'll kill. The guide says for the most part, not all, guys will shoot their elk. They'll walk up. They'll get their picture with the elk with the guide. And then they'll just either peace out or barely help quarter it up, and then won't help pack out. And you're just like, what?
And our group fought over the
our group.
pack
Like
out.
They were mad at Scott. Like I think like legit, Christy was mad at Scott.
Everyone wanted meat
for taking a ham. Like
it's a good problem to have.
It's a good problem to have. But Scott, like I noticed, like too, I was like, Scott's, because mine was super close. I loaded mine up to the truck like easily, and I felt like bad about the whole ordeal too. I'm like, but then we had to go get Hannah's, and it was like all of us are down there cutting this thing up because like the guide's like, I wanted to learn, so I'm like, show me where do I cut, what do I do? Like I want to be able to do this on my own if we have to. In the you know, if it's just me, Scott, and Ben when we would have killed, like I want to have so many reps on this that it's like second nature. I'm just new to it, right? And so he's helping, and he's probably getting a little annoyed because I'm like, hey, let me, you know, like what do I do here? What do I do here? And so I notice while I'm cutting, Scott's like pulls a ham and starts to put it on his bag, and I'm like, that son of a. And so I'm like, all right. And so I'm thinking to myself, well, here's the deal: is these people pride themselves on packing the thing out. It doesn't matter if I take a shoulder and I beat them by an hour, they're going to be like, well, I packed out more than Rich. So I'm like, I'm getting that other ham. And so I'm kind of positioning myself while I'm cleaning to like make sure that I get this other ham. So me and Scott end up with the hams. Well, Christy looks over and she's like, Scott, you can't film and take a ham. And he's like, I was like, oh, hold my beer, lady. Exactly. Watch this, Scott. And so it was pretty good. And
got some good footage.
Me and Scott got some ham. Yep. Got the hams and walked them out. So
I walked into this on accident, but so we put the cart in front of the horse because we switched to another hunt, then we came back, and now we're packing out before you actually made the kill. So you got to talk about it.
You skipped over your kill.
We didn't talk about that yet.
We didn't? All right. So
Scott came back down to meet you.
That was for the
so we already went through that whole deal. Yeah. Mine was the first day. The place that we went to every morning, we caught the elk passing, you know, and so it was, I don't want to say it was easy, but it was easy. Like we walked up, it was a good spot. They were right there. This elk took way more shots. I made I wouldn't say a great shot on the first shot. With it, first time I'd shot that rifle, hit it in a group of, like there were some cows and they dispersed right at the perfect time I took the shot. They dispersed. He kind of like, it's a weird, like we'll show the video, but I think I hit him a little high if I'm like thinking about it, but he wasn't busting. He was probably going to succumb to the wounds from the shot. The guide was in a hurry because he wanted to go after these other ones, so I took a couple more shots, hit him multiple times, and then finally he goes down, and it's a long ordeal. It's way.
What was the bullet you were shooting?
7 SAUM, 7 millimeter.
7 SAUM. That's what it was. Yeah.
And so that was part of it too. It was like I don't shoot a rifle a ton. Like I said, I hit him, I think 5 times.
Yeah.
That's so.
I think
crazy.
you can make a great skit out of it because the guy's just like hit him again.
Yeah.
Hit him again.
Yeah. It just felt bad. Like
he was sturdy.
Do what?
The elk was sturdy.
He was solid, you know, and they weren't bad places. One was probably in a bad spot, and I missed one, but
he went down within probably 30 yards of the first spot you hit him, though.
Exactly. So he probably would have succumbed to his first injuries, but Matt was in a hurry to get him down and make sure we saw eyes down before we went to this other one. And so
there's like a give and take. Is like because you want to.
I didn't want to like ruin the meat either, you know.
Yeah,
so
you
like
want to put
trying
it down
find
quick.
Right. Yeah,
but you also want to put it down. You want to put it down quick. You don't want to ruin the meat. It's like what do I do?
Yeah,
like,
and it was just like
heck?
it was not. I didn't love that part of it. So
Big-
like I
they're-
said, I would feel I feel way more comfortable archery because I shoot a lot in archery. I don't shoot a rifle a lot. I don't.
Yeah.
Not that I don't enjoy rifle shooting. I do.
It's a lot harder
but
to
it's
get somewhere where you can shoot
shoot
400 yards.
Long, yeah, it was a 400-yard shot.
Yeah.
And like I just, it's just I like to shoot
a lot
archery.
more
I do
going
like
on.
to shoot guns. I don't like. It's just not my favorite. If,
You can shoot-
if I've
yeah,
got
you-
time, I can walk out here. I can
So
shoot my bow.
easy.
I'm not disturbing the herd, the elk. I mean the elk, the bison. I've got elk on my brain. And the kids are out here. Like I don't have to
Yeah.
put ears on. I don't have to do all that stuff. Like if I'm gonna go shoot, I got to go to Justin's and we shoot. And he's got a good setup there. There's a place, but I just feel there's something therapeutic to shooting a bow.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't mind shooting a rifle. I like shooting a rifle.
I do too. Yeah,
But it's just not as I don't do it as much.
not
like
as
the arrows are like it's
smooth,
almost like
simple.
there's some fitness involved. I got to have some strength, and so I enjoy that.
It's
But
just different. Yeah.
yeah, so the whole thing, like I said, it was fun. It was a cool experience. But I just archery. There's something about it and being in the rut and hearing them bugle and doing that whole thing.
Might be a lot more fun though with your new toy. I walked into the media office and I see like a
Win Mag from Sig. So
see a
I've got a
6-hour box on the
6.5.
ground. I'm like, wait, what's happening?
I've got a 6.5
Did Ben finally
now,
crack?
6.5 Creedmoor.
What
and
scope are
then,
you gonna have on it? Do you know?
The Sig
Did it
has
come
a
with one?
15 by 30, and then the 300 has like an 18 by 32 or something like that, or the 1830. I can't remember.
Yeah.
It's a nice scope though.
That's a lot of magnification actually.
Yeah, and I didn't realize we didn't know
1,000 a lot.
when we were doing the 270. I didn't realize we had the MOA. Not like this is how like I don't shoot enough that like we were going off the ticks on the scope when I
Yeah.
shot that cow last year. When you can literally just crank
Yeah.
it to where it moves.
Yeah.
I didn't know. it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So should probably learn your weapon before you shoot. So. But
Small
got
detail.
it done. We got it done with that cow last year too.
Yeah, I'm
so
gonna-
that's where we're going next week. Meat hunt.
I texted Justin actually. I'm gonna go sight in the rifle I have, and then I'm gonna get another rifle and
Monday or
just,
Tuesday. That's when we'll be out there.
Oh, are you
I'm
going
gonna
out
sight that 300 in. I got to sight it before we go.
Yeah, I wanna shoot the 270. Like I've shot at 150. I just want to shoot it. Like I just want to stretch it out a little bit, and then he would be.
He's
the
got
person
500s out there.
Yeah.
So we went out there
That's
the
so
one day we're
cool.
shooting. But yeah, he took both of my rifles to get the scopes like lined up perfectly and all that stuff, and then we're gonna go out there and sight them.
Did you do the
gonna
bore
laser it
sight
and
and do
bore
laser?
sight it and all
Yeah,
that stuff.
yeah. But then there's nothing. You got to shoot it. You got to shoot like a whole box, just to like 10 to 20 rounds, just to feel it too.
Yep.
But reaching out like to 400 or 500, like that's just I've never done that. It's just so cool. Like I probably wouldn't take a shot 500 yards at a deer for sure.
At a deer would be
but
tough. I mean, I'd only shot that 6.5. So I shot that cow last year at 450. And then we shot that 6.5, and we weren't hitting the target because we didn't have the MOA right at 500.
Oh wow.
And so,
Yeah.
so that's the longest shots I've ever taken.
There's a lot more that goes into like these rounds. I guess,
for sure.
In
You gotta
500 yards.
Well, but here's the deal: is you got to know the MOA of the round. You got to know the windage.
The wind.
You got to know what altitude you're at.
Yeah.
Like, there's way more. Like you're like 200 yards is whatever.
I think it's like.
and then it's.
I think it's around I mean, I'll never do this, but I think it's like around a mile. You have to start taking into consideration the curvature of the earth.
Yeah.
Right.
It's flat.
That's what
The curvature of the what?
the Earth is
curvature
flat.
of the earth.
The what?
Yeah.
Gravity.
Go away.
But yeah, you look at some of these rounds and you're like, it drops a foot.
Yeah.
So you got to think about that. Or at some point, the bullet's going up short, and then it starts like there's
wild.
a lot of science into
It's,
shooting long range.
the
And I'm not
6.5.
that smart.
When I was looking at the 6.5, I think
It
at
shoots up
1,000
1,000 yards, right?
Oh, I don't
Oh.
know. I think that's true, but at 1,000, it drops 28 feet. How in the world?
How's that have enough
do
like
you
impact?
do
You know, it's
that?
just
Yeah.
like the bullet goes.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just looking at it compared to other bullets, and like because I wanted a 6.5, so I was just I think it does one of these, and everything does that drop off obviously, but like I was like 28 feet. Like how do you have to be shooting? You have to have a huge hill to shoot down if you're going to shoot 1,000 yards. It's crazy.
2 is 1 and 1 is none. The Airwave Mayhem Hybrid Pack gives you 1 HIIT mouthpiece and 1 endurance mouthpiece in our traditional Mayhem blue, so you're covered no matter the sport. 1 innovative technology, 2 performance-driven designs. For podcast listeners only, get the Mayhem Hybrid Pack 15% off at www.airwave.com/Froning.
Yep. Or you just turn that MOA thing.
Yeah.
Man, this has turned into a 48-minute hunting podcast.
I'm
People
learning.
are going to be angry.
I'm learning.
Angry.
I've definitely learned.
No, because so that was what happened too. So I had all the MOA stuff for that gun, and I had it as my unlock screen. So like instead of a picture of my kids and me, it was that. So you could see it, right? So you had 100 yards, you knew this, and I just had to turn the ticks. Well, then I freaking started reading about what was it? Not the MOA, because you got MOA, and you've got there's another calculation, MRAD.
Windage and elevation,
MRAD
right?
you can do. And then I started looking at angles. That's what it was. It was the angles. And I'm like, it can't be that big of a deal. Yeah. And then I started reading this article, and it's a huge deal. And I'm like, so that's when I had Scott go get Lee, and Lee doesn't even show up, and because we're at like a 30-degree angle, and I'm like, what the hell does that mean? You know, like, so it was there's apps now that you can just plug in your gun,
I've done
your grain of bullet and all that stuff, and it's right there. And that's what I had.
Where
but I needed the angle too, and I'm like, because for the most part, it was like just aim high. But I'm like, at each, I'm like,
okay, how much?
Wait, what?
How high?
And so I think that's what kind of messed me up, because we were a little higher than those elk were, but it wasn't that much, and so, but he went down. We'll have to speed it up on the video because it's I didn't love watching it.
Takes a minute. Oh, the
it is
multiple
painful.
shots.
It is,
That's the hard part. Is you just feel bad, and then you start feeling bad, and you're like, all right, I got to put this thing down, you know. So, but he went down. He probably died an easier death than getting eaten by a bear or mountain lion.
Oh yeah.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, because they eat the ass out first.
Yeah.
They do.
That's what bears do.
Dude. Yeah. I mean, like you said, that mountain lion will come up behind you.
Dessert first.
Take your jugular, and take your jugular, and then just eat you.
There's a video of Nature's Metal of a lion. They eat all the worst stuff first, and then they save like the muscle for after. So like, there's a video of this lion eating the colon out of a zebra.
Oh man.
And he's just eating the colon, and poop's just falling on the ground. It's disgusting. It is
Nature's Metal. I wonder if they get a bunch of hate.
Oh, they have to. It's so.
I don't think so, man.
They have to. They have to say people, because like.
I think they're just shamelessly like that. I mean, that's the channel. You know what I mean? They probably love it. They probably love it.
But do people get mad at lions for killing other animals? Because we're just another predator.
I just think they get mad about them taking videos and showing it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, because you're not supposed to like interfere with nature, though. You know, right?
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
You know, anytime you watch those videos, like selfishly, I'm like, you know, when the little elk is getting demolished by a grizzly bear or a pack of wolves, you're like, hey, just step in and help it.
Yeah, right.
You know, like, help it. Why are you not doing anything?
Oh,
you
it'd
know?
be like I always thought that too. It'd be like the hardest job to be like a National Geographic. Oh God. Oh, what a savage.
Oh, that's messed up.
That's not even the one that I've seen.
Really?
So there's more. That's
as it's pulling
it's basically eating a poop sausage. It's only eating the skin of a poop sausage.
Hey, I guess just don't knock it till you try it. You know what I mean?
I don't think I'll try that one.
There was a guy on Rogan's podcast who was talking about he'll eat. I think he said he does eat or has eaten everything on an animal, and he's like, colon's not that bad if you wash it out. It's like, I'll take your word for it.
That's what they use for sausage casings on a lot of things.
Yeah, I'll take their word for it.
I'll never forget. Like it was the only episode of Fear Factor where I was like, I wouldn't do that. Like, because every other one, I'm like, yeah, bury me in roaches. Like, let rats kind of run around on me.
Messes with me.
It was a pickled pig rectum, and you shot like, give you like a janky little like BB gun, and like if you hit the target, it was no big deal. But they would give you like 2 or 4. Like the further out you got was like how many you had to eat, and it was wrong. It was wrong. Anything else, I'm like, yeah, I eat grasshoppers, sure. Like I'll throw a maggot down my throat for $50,000, but pickled pig rectum is where I draw my line.
You ever have pickled herring?
I don't think I have actually.
Or a herring.
I tried some of the weird stuff in Iceland. I tried the, they do, it's shark that's basically fermented. And that's the most awful thing. Like before it even comes close to your table, you can smell it.
Oh,
it's just
like
awful.
Like whole shark.
I mean, it was like plate.
I didn't
it was on
eat
a plate,
cheese.
you know.
I was just thinking like maybe it's like a small shark. They just pickle the whole thing.
No, it was a portion of a big shark.
The maggot cheese in Italy is the number one worst thing
What?
for me. So I don't really know how cheese is made, but I think you have to like stir it or something.
This is an actual thing we had, right?
But
Like in Sardinia?
we had it. But instead
Traditional.
of people stirring up the cheese, they throw maggots in there. They swim around and make the cheese happen.
What?
I thought my tongue was gonna fall out of my head, and then I tried to give
What
it.
do you mean fall out of your head?
It was so bad.
Oh, it was terrible.
Yeah,
They're like, here, try this. And I'm like, nah, dude. I'll try anything. I'll try brain from the pig. I'll do any of that. That was fine.
I thought it was something else, so I put a ton on my piece of bread. Took a huge bite. I thought I was gonna puke.
And that wasn't a mistake.
Yeah,
like,
I
they
tried
definitely didn't tell us the backstory until after it had been served.
We Googled it. Yeah. I tried to give it to Violet.
Violet, she ain't no dummy.
She's no fool.
Maggot cheese. What in the world?
It was bad.
Yeah,
all right.
I can watch that line eat that poop, but man, that's kind of making me sick. You
Yeah.
guys eating maggot cheese.
Should we hard pivot, or do you want him to do his Whoop commercial?
Either way.
Let's do your Whoop commercial.
Choose your own adventure.
Sorry, I left it.
By the way, the hike out, I looked at my Whoop. It was a 13 strain that night, and it took me 52 minutes.
Text there.
52.
The previous night.
Yeah.
Currently on a 3-year streak of monitoring my recovery and strain every day with Whoop. It's helped me prepare for the CrossFit Games, calculate my zones when training for Leadville, and tracked my sleep quality, or lack thereof, for about 1,000 days in a row. If you have a Whoop, join the CrossFit Mayhem community on Whoop at COMM-MAYHEM, capitals. If you don't have a Whoop, use code MAYHEM at checkout. Go to join.whoop.com/CrossFit Mayhem and use code line space.
Oh, it's
Mayhem.
It's Mayhem. Yeah.
Mayhem.
Code Mayhem.
Hey, that was good.
Yeah.
That was
We're gonna
take.
start doing some cool stuff with them. We'll just do some giveaways and stuff for people who are recovering well or all that kind of stuff. We didn't do that well in the past, so I think we'll take our little leaderboard and just pick out some folks to win some stuff.
Rando winners.
That
Like
streak gets really stressful when we hunt.
Yeah, because sometimes it won't load.
Try to keep the Whoop alive and have a charger.
Me and Scott fought over the Whoop
And
charger one night.
It only stores for like 48 hours, right?
I think it's 3 days.
It's
2 or
a
3
while
days.
because
It's like 2 or 3 days because I lost one
in Gunnison.
in Gunnison.
Yeah.
I had it on the whole time it was charged. We had zero service whatsoever. Gunnison
Except
is
Angelo.
armpit, except for Angelo.
I had service
And
the
then
whole time at camp.
I lost like 2 days, I think, and that's the only time I haven't done it in like 5 years.
It's a heartbreak.
I think it would have been longer, but yeah. So hunting. We did a 55-minute talk about hunting.
Well, then let's talk about let's head down to Austin, Texas, and
Austin,
talk about the Rogue
Texas.
Invitational.
Rogue Invitational.
Which was one day after the hunt ended, pretty much.
Yeah,
2
luckily
days.
we flew home early, and we got one extra day in Cookeville before we took off.
But then you had more travel drama.
Oh, more travel drama than I've probably ever had in the history. American Airlines.
What's going on with you lately, man?
Sucks.
Yeah.
The last 2 times I hate like public bashing of companies.
Yeah.
Unless they suck.
I love it.
I love it.
American Airlines has
I love when
screwed
people
us.
have vendettas against giant companies.
American
so
Airlines
good.
has screwed us twice. This time we get there an hour and 30 minutes ahead of time, which is way early for me.
Oh,
But I
yeah,
have-
you stress me out.
But I have 3 kids, so I'm like, hey, we got to get there.
Super dad.
I'm trying to check in on the app. It won't let me check in. Walk up to the counter. I can get everybody's boarding pass but mine. And so
But you had made the reservation.
I had
right?
made the reservation. 20 minutes it takes. The lady finally hands us 6 cards. One's supposed to be our bags, the 2 bags that we checked, and then our 5 tickets. So we start walking off, and I'm like, Trice, Lakeland, Violet, Hillary. I look at mine. I'm like, oh, there's my name. But it says not valid for travel or something like that. And I'm like, we're within 50 minutes, and Hillary's like, we're going to miss it. Well, and I'm like, calm down. Like, let's figure this out. We're all together. It's okay. I walk back, and the lady's like, yeah, I gave you that. And I was like, and I'm not waiting in this line. They were going to make me wait in the line again. I'm like, no, this is your fault.
Yeah, you
And so lady was super nice. I don't know if it was a glitch in their computer. She has to like go off to another spot and like talk to this guy, and they're sitting there back and forth and looking at me and back and forth and like trying to go on the computer. And then all of a sudden, 10 minutes later, she walks up and she's like, I don't know what it was. Hands me another one. Good to go. It was bizarre. We get on the plane.
Hold on. Let me just interject there. Would this be a scenario where if you and Hill had TSA pre, you would have been happy?
But with the kids, I don't know. Can you do
Yeah,
that?
the kids get to go through with you.
Oh, all right. Yeah, probably. No, honestly, not actually, because the TSA line was, again, longer
Of course.
than the regular
That's
regular
the
line.
best.
And it
I'll
was-
interject and say Bennett, Frank, and we flew, and I wasn't with Rich, so I got to use my TSA pre. It was lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the TSA line.
I love when the
way
TSA
longer.
pre is longer.
We walked in and there was somebody not at, like, there was like 2 or 3 lanes. You know how there's like that random 2 or 3 lanes down that nobody ever sees? There's just a lady standing there, so we walk right up. That was fine. We're on the plane, no seats together.
What?
Even though they had 5 or 6 empty seats in the back, no seats together. So Hillary's like, I'm like, because we didn't know they were going to be those empty seats. So I go to the last seat to like stop if any kids come back.
Yeah.
And Hillary's like asking people to change seats, and people were great. Like, people were great. They were like, yeah, sit with the kids. Well, Violet comes back with me at some point. I'm like, hey, send me like 3 kids. There's nobody back here. And she's like, well, I don't want to make anybody mad. I've already like made people mad by taking their seats. And so whatever. So Violet comes back. While we're in there, they're like, hey, there's some weather, and this is 100% safety. It's fine. We had to go like an hour and 15 minutes out of the way around a storm or something like that. So this flight is taking longer. My dad left 50 minutes after us. Gets there same time as us. I walk up to budget car rental. The line is 45 minutes long.
And I'm middlemanning from
I have to
Nashville,
be there. So I'm supposed to land at 2:20. It's 4:30 or something. No, it's like right at 4 o'clock because they said you have to be here by 4. And I'm like, Rory, there's no chance of me making this, and I don't want them just hanging out sitting there. So Rory's trying to talk back and forth with Rogue, like to hold the media or not to hold the media, whatever.
And Rich's texts are pure comedy. He's like, my dad just got a rental car, and I was like, did he offer you a ride or to switch out because you need to be there?
It took an hour and a half to get a rental car. Not only did budget, there was a 45-minute line to get your piece of paper. You go up to the top, and there was a 45-minute to get your car.
Oh my god!
And I got 3 kids. It's a nightmare.
And Senior was like, peace.
Well, every flight everywhere got pushed around like that, so everyone landed at the same time probably.
Rush to get to the stadium. Media's going to do it the next morning. Get my stuff. Go to the hotel. Get to the hotel. Sam Briggs jokingly walks up. All the rooms are gone. The guy at the front goes, she's joking, but it's real. She's like, they had some plumbing issues. I later heard it was another issue. I won't specify on here, but I think, yeah. Anyway, we got moved to another hotel. We get to the hotel. I've got to go to the Legends like happy hour thing. Forgot my bag at the airport.
Oh no!
I'm not sure if I left it on the plane at this point. Did I leave it when I went to the bathroom? We're waiting for the girls to get out. Not sure if the kids were starving and wanted pizza and it was chaos in Austin Airport if I left it there, right?
Oh, no.
Not sure if I left it at budget. So we go to happy hour. Hillary goes back to the airport.
Oh, my gosh.
Lost and found. Somebody drops off a Rogue bag. They weren't going to let her have it until the next morning. She's like, hey, he has emergency medicine in there. Complete lie. And then the guy's like, I don't know if this is your bag. And luckily Hillary had that my Rogue like name tag or something. My bag had Rogue. It's one of those torpedo bags, which is a great travel bag, by the way. And so luckily I got my bag. But yeah, that was the way there. The way back, trying to print off baggage tickets. Something happens to the machine. It only prints half of it, right? So I walk up there, of course, have to wait in the line, get up there, and the guy's like, can I help you? And I'm show him. He's like, okay. So we walk back over to the kiosk, and he's trying to type it in. He's like, oh, here you go. And I'm like, no, there's 2 bags. And he's like, no, you only have 1 on the reservation. I'm like, I can show you right here. I paid $60. I can show you. He does this to me.
Love it.
Break his
strong
wrist.
move.
Break his
I looked
wrist.
at Hillary. I was like, and so he keeps trying to do his thing. And I said,
call that giving you the hand.
And he goes, there's only 1 on here. And I went to show him my phone because I have the American Airlines email that says 2 bags. And he puts his hand up at me again. And I looked at Hillary. I said, if he puts his hand up at me again, we're going to have a problem. And I didn't say that. I said other things. And somehow
I'm going to effing kill him.
I don't know if he did magic and like put another one on there, but I was I never like got heated, but I was about to get very heated. I try to I get that these people are going through hell, people trying to get on a flight, and luckily we were there like 2 or 3 hours early, so it was not that big of a deal. I don't mind you're trying to get your job done. Don't stick your hand in my face.
Yeah.
For sure.
And so I was just like, you usually can stay pretty calm in those situations because I'm like, I get it. You're going like customer service is the worst job on the planet. Airlines has to be the worst.
Gotta be.
Dude, did I tell you about when I got back to B&A not long ago and I was picking up my dad, and long story short, the carousel where people's bags were supposed to come was under construction, and it went to the one that was under construction, so you couldn't get in there. I just snuck up there, and I was like just super casual and real nice, and I was like, hey, man, sorry what's going on. Can I grab my dad's bag? Yeah, no problem. Handed it to me. Well, then everybody saw me, and they crowded over. and this chick was just running her mouth, and so I had the dude's back, but she was just all in his face and just like not being nice at all.
Yeah.
And he literally shushed her. I had not seen an adult shush another adult in a long time, but he literally shushed her, and she's like, "Did you just shush me?" And like as it's going, it was like we were walking away from an explosion. I just put the bag over my shoulder, walked away
Michael
casually,
Bay
and just
movie.
hear all this going on in the background. But it was wild.
So.
Okay, so that was there, but
Sorry,
the event itself, and actually, let's talk about the night you arrived, because what I love was that at the check-in you had to do the media stuff, and then it was a VIP dinner. But they, Casey Strickland, who works for Rogue, sends me like an itinerary, and I looked through it, and she'd asked me about this, but I never heard you say yes or no. But it's like whatever the dinner was, then a tour, and the third one was dunking booth, and I was like, Rich Froning.
It didn't turn out like dunk booth. So what happened is with the weather, and the weather was just crappy all weekend. You know, they did the best with what they could, but they had to move the happy hour to the other side instead of in Vendor Village.
Okay.
So we were up at the dugout, and so all the carnival games were on the side. And I don't think people quite knew that the carnival games were over there.
No.
And so I walked over there immediately to get ready to do whatever, because I was doing, I think, fast pitch first, then
That's
like
right.
whatever. And so people, like, there was a good steady amount of people trickling in there, and I probably talked and took pictures for an hour or hour and a half or so. And then I was like, all right, everybody's kind of gone. I'm like, the kids were begging, you know, like they played all the games, like, get in the dunking booth. And I'm like, all right, I'll get in the
figured they
dunking
would
booth
love it.
just for the kids. I literally just sat in the dunking booth for my kids
Yeah.
for like 30 minutes.
Oh, shut up. There's
my
nobody
kids,
else there?
Nobody was
Oh,
there.
dude.
And so my kids are just, and I'm just talking trash to them. Like,
Yeah.
who taught you how to throw? And, you know, like doing all this. And then finally, Trice smokes one. I'm like, all right, got me. All right, whatever. Next one, smokes me again. He hit me 4 times in a row after he, like, for 15 minutes, he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Violet would hit it with no force whatsoever. It would go
It just
clank,
bounce and roll off.
fall off.
Yeah,
So.
you were the first person he hit, I think. It was Lakeland. She was the sniper before.
Oh, okay.
Trice.
She got Medeiros. Yeah.
And Carrie Pierce.
Carrie Pierce.
But then Trice couldn't hit
But there was nobody over there. So I'm like, all right, the kids are ready to go. Hillary's coming back from the airport. She had been gone. So I'm like, let's leave. So I'm carrying my kids out. And I walk out. There's still hundreds of people there. And I'm like, oh, I just thought everybody didn't really care.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, well, I did my job. Just kind of kept walking. So the kids were tired. And
That's funny. Did you get footage of that?
Yes.
Okay,
old
that
video.
would have been
We did
worth the price of admission for me.
We did that for the Mayhem from Mustard. Do you remember?
oh,
that?
yeah, I remember that. Yep. So, you know, it was, man, the weather was just crappy there.
Yeah, it
Like,
sucks.
it was just not good.
It's a
And it's just
letdown.
hard for it's such a cool venue, and an outdoor venue is cool. But, you know, then you're playing into the weather, and it was just kind of a freak thing too.
Yeah.
Like, we've had it there, 3 years now, and not had an issue with that. So they did the best with what they could. And I honestly think some of the programming changes were for the better, honestly. Like, you know, taking the rope climb out, you'd already done a bunch of pulling. Putting the handstand walk in there was something I think made the programming a little bit more balanced, in my opinion. And so I think it all worked out well. It was wet. And
Yeah.
it was kind of fun. You know, like we got to do.
You can be honest about this, but because as a fan, like I think that the Legends competition is a national treasure.
I wish the
like-
Legends competition, I don't want to make it more serious by any means, but I wish it was a little bit like, it's kind of like we walked out there and they're like, hey, what do you guys want to do? And you're
Yeah.
like, really? You know, like
Well, it's probably the whole range. Like
And I've
you're
never
like
even-
that.
I've never even said this to Katie, but I think it would be cool to like partner us up like 6 months before so we can talk to each other and know who our partner is. It's hard because you got such a wide range of guys and girls
Yeah.
still competing. I wish there was a way to like, you could scale it to like some of the other athletes
Yeah.
or partner. Like you have to have an age range between the two of you,
Oh, you go.
Mhm.
but like make it kind of not serious,
Yeah.
but like a little bit of bragging rights and like actually 1 or 2 events a day and like, you know,
You
not
just do one workout a day.
one workout a day, and you could choose if like, that movement hurts me, I'm not doing that, you know, like,
Yeah.
you know, like Miko and Dan, like Miko's shoulder, rightfully so, not gonna do the monkey bars, but it changes the whole workout then because
Yeah.
Dan does his down and back, Miko's fresh,
Yeah.
and then he can hit his cleans and his bike, you know, which are his wheelhouse,
Yeah.
and so you know, it
You
was
can find a way to have fun with that too.
yeah,
you know,
for
like,
sure, we can
give you
figure
a-
out something like, you know,
Give you
split it
a
however we
little
need to.
protest card, you know.
Yeah. And then like when we changed they took the rope climb out of the, we were going to do a version
Yeah.
of the up and over rope climb and carry thing. And it was supposed to be a 200-pound sandbag. Well, they took out the rope climb and you're kind of like, all right, whatever. At least there's still a 200-pound sandbag. We get out there and there's like 150s, 100s, and 70s. They're like, just pick up which one you want. And we're like, hold on. Like, can we at least do 3 sandbag? It would have been really good at 5. Like 3 was hard. Like, because
Yeah.
your heart rate's so high because it's a race. You're running and back and forth up and over those things and doing sandbag cleans. But you're kind of like,
1 at 150 or a 70 or 100, you know, you're kind of like, we're old, but we're not dead, you know? So, you know, it'd be hard. It's a logistical nightmare, and that's not why people are there, but it would be fun to like make it a little bit more like.
Sure. And you'd have to, don't call it out the other way, but like who's still got it? Like who's still hitting it hard?
I think Kalipa, Bridges, Dan, all those guys still are doing stuff, you know, like we all have our like things that we kind of can't do or you don't really want to do because you don't need to do it anymore. Like Bridges said he's not doing a ton of Olympic lifting, but still, you know, still got it. And
I don't think he does any handstand push-ups either.
Kalipa can still smash an Echo bike or any machine. You know, he's just so big and so powerful. Big. Dan, you know, does everything. Miko still got it too. And I mean, Josh, even fun hanging out with Josh Everett. And so that's just from the guy side. I mean, Carrie Pierce was my partner, which she could still compete as an individual. So, but it's fun to see everybody and see, you know, Becca and Tanya and Kristen and all those girls out there that, you know, when I was competing, I'm like, we kind of joked, but I'm like in between this weird, like, know all those guys, competed with all those guys, but I've also like competed around, maybe not with all the guys and girls now, but around, and I'm with you guys all the time. So I'm like still, you know, still dabbling. Still a
little relevant to some maybe.
Well, but yeah, to some, like 6. So it's different, but it's fun.
Yeah, good. As a fan, just like, this is just my shameless, like, giving Rogue accolades. And you probably didn't get to see this, but like what they did with the broadcast, I think that they're obviously always evolving the sport. They're not just like, well, let's just take whatever CrossFit Games does and do that. So with the broadcast, they had a premium package you could buy. Did you see that?
I know. I mean, I was on some of those shows, so yes.
Right. Yeah. So those shows are available.
I didn't actually know a ton of what was going on.
So here's what was cool.
I just showed up and just did what I was told.
You had access to your shows, so you could be like, you got like a Manning cast type thing, so you get to see like a more casual environment, but also they would put interesting people together. So like one of the gems was Kalipa and Nick, not Nick, Shaw. What's his? Brian Shaw.
Brian Shaw.
But so like during the deadlift, you had this really interesting collection of people like with Sherwood, and their conversations were pretty golden. You know, you're like,
they said they had to cut Kalipa off on one of his stories. They like came in his ear and like, stop, Jason. Just Pat was talking.
Well, then he was also asking questions though too, where it was like, that's kind of outrageous, but also I want to know the answer.
Yeah.
He was asking like, if Shaw would wear like multiple belts if he could, and you know, sort of stuff where I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, why is
okay, I want to hear the answer.
Yeah.
But then the coolest part I thought, and I think this will be the future of the sport, and I would definitely pay for it, is you could choose your camera.
Yeah,
it was sort of limited here, but
Wadapalooza did that several years ago.
Yeah,
it wasn't perfect, and it really wasn't great at all. But the
idea, the idea was
really cool. I don't know what they did. I want you to explain it. But what Wadapalooza did is there was one in the corner. There was just one voiceover for the whole thing, but there was one in the corner. You could see the entire floor, and there was one little camera at each lane. Yes. And so, like, you guys know how Flagler is, to where if it's in that lane, you can see everything that's going on there. And I thought that was kind of cool. So if you're like, my team, you know, if your team is maybe not the best, but you still want to watch them, or even the individual, whatever you want to watch, you can just watch them. And then every now and then you can kind of check, oh man, that team's winning, but I want to watch my guys.
Exactly.
So what did they do?
Very similar. So you could you could select the drone, what they call the athlete cam. So that was like you follow the leader, or the wide shot, like you're saying. But I think in the future, you would have people can pay for it, and then it eliminates multiple things. One is like,
you never show my person.
My athlete is like not relevant to the overall race, and they're not going to be shown on like the athlete cam or like the main broadcast. I can watch them. And then the other ones were just like, hey, I find it more interesting to watch the entire field, or the Manning cast type situation. Like, I get to
choose your own broadcast.
I'm more interested in watching the whole field. Like, if you can get a good angle on the whole field, me personally, I want to watch that, because a lot of times you end up missing a race, because of.
I will say and we don't matter because it's a Legends. They missed a huge race between, like, Kalipa's kind of like jogging in, and me and Carrie, I was like, let's go, let's catch him. And Jason's face, like, you see the tail end of it. They come back to us running through and laughing and like pointing at Jason. I wish they had like actual footage on it, because it was hilarious.
Sniped him.
Yeah. We didn't catch them per se, because I don't even know if we had chip timer. We didn't have chip timers, but it was pretty funny because like Jason's face, he's just kind of jogging in, and me and Carrie and everybody starts screaming because we're running.
Yeah.
And Jason,
he's like, what's going on?
You know, he does that big, dumb, stupid bear looking face where he's like, whoa. It was so good. I just love talking shit to Jason.
No doubt. Did you think that his spoof with Miranda was funny?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
No,
No,
it was pretty good.
Watch it.
It was pretty good.
You're the one that set that up, so
it was very they asked me for permission, and I was like, I can't give you permission to do that. Like, do
Miranda
it or don't.
Came up and asked. She's like, "Hey, we're gonna do something and kind of prank Jason." I was like, "Go for it."
The dialogue was actually really funny because they were basically just like
good.
coming up with different ways where they could beat you.
They
went through the like
go,
for
who's
old
winning
fans
on Friday though. That was pretty good.
Yeah, but they went through all the iterations of team, and they're like, oh yeah, maybe we could beat him with 6 people. And I screwed that up too. All right, but they went through. It was well done.
Nice.
We definitely have to think of like how to come back at that.
that.
Yeah.
I thought the best would be like the Aaron Rodgers.
Don't give it out.
Okay.
No, I could just start coming up with some stuff too.
Yes, definitely. Oh, and then the other thing that I think that Rogue just changes the game with is the way they do the prize purse. You know, obviously as a fan again, I love having just all the top athletes there.
Mm-hmm.
I love the legends portion. But then, like those athletes actually have a reason to compete. What they did with like combination of Bitcoin, the fact that they factor in.
Is Bitcoin still around?
Oh, yeah.
That was last year, I think. The Bitcoin thing was
Bitcoin
last
was
year.
last
But I think they have like
Bitcoin's still involved.
Really?
Yeah.
I know the prize purse went up. I didn't think it was from Bitcoin.
Yeah. Like, and when they bought it, it was like 16K, and now it's doubled that at least, So
All right.
the purse goes up as
as the
Bitcoin
investment goes up.
Yep. And then of course they put their own money in, but then I think incorporating how many people show up to the event,
yeah, that's cool.
it's a big deal.
So the prize purse goes up from Bitcoin. You're right. Ticket sales, invitational T-shirts, and then GoRuck, the Q, the C, and their initial cash investment.
That's cool.
So you get a percentage basically of all of that stuff.
Well, they put it an initial amount, which is pretty
Yeah.
close to what it ends up being, but
Yeah,
then
but
all
then
that
that
stuff goes into
Throws a
it.
little
Yeah.
on top of it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
No,
And then
Bill and Kate are incredible. The whole Rogue team. It's just like, it's just cool to see what's possible. Like what they do right every year in and year out.
I think the great thing is even if you finish in last, as a competing athlete, you're not losing money to go there.
No, that's
and I think that's
cool.
a big deal
Yeah, that's really, really
to help
that is probably
professionalize the
coolest.
sport.
Yeah. Yep.
well, and other people, let's just say like, so we carved out masters and teens this year, and we say this a lot, and I think people get their feelings sort of like, if you show up, like
If you care about Masters,
prove us wrong, right?
Show it. Yeah.
Some sort of incorporation of that too, where it's like,
could be great.
show up or
Yep.
pay for the broadcast or
Yeah.
buy the T-shirt, whatever it is.
You
Prove me wrong. Like I would love for you
Yeah.
to prove me wrong.
And I mean, even the games has done that with the athlete T-shirts, which I think was cool. A cool little integration. Oh, you don't think this is
Yeah,
cool?
I mean, I think it's great, but I think there's like proven that they didn't pay what they said they were going to
Yeah,
pay.
true.
So
True.
It's in
the
theory,
idea.
in
is
theory,
cool.
it's
In
an
theory,
incredible
it's
idea
it's
that an
cool
athlete
idea.
should make money off of their name.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
almost
Kind of the
like-
way it should be.
So, yeah.
yeah, I don't think that went as well as it was supposed to, but
Yeah,
I think
but
it had a lot
I
of
don't know
potential.
the insights of it. I'm just
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
from the
yeah.
outside.
I'm
I'm like,
just
yeah, that
messing.
looks cool,
I'm
and
just-
like it does look cool. But if it's not as cool as it seems, then maybe it's not that cool.
Misdirection.
Yeah.
The concept is, I think there's probably a lot of
Yeah,
external factors there.
Yeah.
So speaking of people that do pay out well, Rogue 10th through 20th were all the same payout, but the minimum payout was $6,500,
$6,500,
which is
yeah.
more than you can make winning a semifinal.
Yeah.
Also valid.
Or you could win and get $280,000,
There you go.
which is almost the CrossFit Games.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's a legitimate payout.
Oh yeah.
And highlights for me. I was I loved seeing Laura and Tia throw fists, and I was excited to see the Roman versus Adler.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was all good. I didn't follow it at all. I watched one event.
I think it was all good. I didn't follow it at all.
I just assume with Rogue it's going to be good, so I don't watch.
No, I thought it was a blast.
That was great.
I thought it was a blast. I didn't watch any of it.
What tripped Roman up? What? Because he was in the lead for a while. No
I-
major problems. Just didn't
I
put
don't
it all
think so.
together.
Yeah, no, I think, I mean, he came off of a foot injury, so hadn't trained like he probably wanted to.
Yeah.
He had to do some stuff for practically the first time, too. I mean, you got to think he broke his foot. And the first time he ran was not long ago. He double undered for the second time. He had to do 42-inch box jumps in the rain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That
mean,
hill.
I think it's just.
Sounds like a bunch of
I
excuses
think what
to
he said is he kind of knew going in that
he's
he
not
may not be
conditioned.
in the running to
Just
win.
not conditioned, yeah.
But
He
yeah,
told
but
me
he was
was
like,
doing Rogue. I couldn't even believe he
I know. I was
doing
like,
it.
you shouldn't do that, actually. You know, like.
And he was still mad about third.
Yeah,
yeah,
which is good. Needs to be.
He was thumbs down there's a clip Bennett got. He was doing a thumbs down on the podium, and he said, "Poop. This is poop."
Does he get hated for not smiling on the?
Does he not
on the
smiling
on the podium like me?
No.
No, of course not.
Do people hate on you for that?
You don't remember that when we got second, and me and Darren are like,
that was awesome.
Yeah,
That was
we
awesome.
were so criticized because we weren't happy.
Really?
Like,
Oh, no, I
like
thought it was awesome.
said it's poor sportsmanship and stuff, and I'm like, no. And Conway even came out. He's like, he said congrats. He said like good job, all that, but you're not supposed to be happy for, like, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna be happy for second place.
It's one thing. It's one thing if you go in, you're expecting to be okay. Yeah, let's try to get top 10. Like, this is our first year. Like, you guys were really thought you could and had won and planned on winning. It's totally different.
I mean,
they say like people who
get third are happier than second.
Usually third because third is usually a surprise.
I've never
second,
been happy with third either. So there's that.
Yeah, but you've always you've never not been in the running to be like other than 2010.
Other than the Rogue Invitational and when it ended with a tug of war. Me and Bill still go head to head about that.
Oh, dude.
I think it's incredible for an exhibition.
Yeah.
It'd be great for an exhibition for fans, whatever.
Too biased, you think?
Not as a
too
sport
biased.
event, especially when some people are allowed to wear turf cleat-ish shoes and the rest of the field wasn't. So I'll die on that.
That's one thing about I didn't say, I don't know if I said this on the podcast, that someone got in trouble for wearing cleats to the games on a team.
Let them wear cleats.
We weren't. Well, it was a rule. No one else wore cleats. And
if it's a rule that says you can't wear
Yeah.
cleats, but why not let people wear cleats? If you want to go buy your own cleats, go buy your own cleats.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
I
fine
think
with
it
that.
was
There
more
one
they
year
just-
of us, like
yeah.
they wouldn't let us wear cleats. And I'm like,
I think it was that they didn't want them to tear whatever. I think we were
turf.
doing. Yeah, we weren't doing anything, but yeah, I guess they didn't want them to tear up the turf. That was the thing. And they check your shoes as you're going on there.
I think it's more likely that Noble didn't make cleats.
Yeah,
you know
probably,
what I'm saying? Like,
probably. But this person snuck their cleats out there, put their cleats on, and wore them. Yeah, it sounds cool, except for they're in the lane beside us, and they beat us by one spot in that event. And if, like, who's to say the cleats matters or not? But
yeah,
I'm
what was the
just saying,
event?
It was a sled push.
All right.
And,
that is a huge
it was the
advantage,
heavy bob push. If you're wearing cleats on a heavy bob, and then they took them off, threw them to their coach, and put their other shoes back on before they walked off.
classic cheater move, huh?
Then I know that this person got a stern talk to. I don't even know who it is. I just know the story. They got a stern talk to, and I was like, no, I didn't see anything about this. I got this from.
They didn't adjust their score or anything.
I know he doesn't know the name because he would definitely say it out loud.
It's such a classic CrossFit thing. Let the first 2 or 3 heats figure out how to cheat it, and then the final heat, hey, don't do that. We're not allowing.
We're not
that.
doing.
You're
that.
just like,
what about that?
Like Neil Maddox. I look at Neil Maddox.
The cat's out of the bag. You got to let it happen.
He picked up the sled up and ran with it, and we get out there, and Dave's like, hey, don't do what he did. I'm like, he just won the event.
Yeah,
so
that is classic. Yeah,
that was a distinct
rules
advantage.
for thee,
do not
but
do
not
it.
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's so CrossFit though. Like they don't think of the ways that people. That's one of my pet peeves when you don't have people test it and give you a valid like, hey, here's something you could do. Like, like I don't know if the demo team doesn't realize it,
or is too
scared to say something,
Oh, yeah.
or just aren't thinking in the like whatever. And there are ways that you can, and the standard is like so.
Yeah. I'll speak to my days there though, like especially with the Open at least. Like in the games, I don't know how the
Open used to be the wild.
Well.
Like I hate that people are like, I hate that you have to put these tape lines down and blah blah blah. No, that needs to happen.
Yeah.
Because people set the rower up to where they can drop right on the rower and you're into the rower from a toes bar.
And
like,
they would ask
that
like, there was
to happen.
very specific people like Bill Grunler always knocked, like he blew my hair back with the ways that he was like, no, this is definitely what I would do. And I'm like, holy shit, are you serious? Like, like wide leg burpees or like dumbbell
like
snatches with your
dumbbell,
like
somebody sets the dumbbell right back.
Yes,
underneath
or you're like in the splits, you know, and like it's still the same range of motion, but I'm so close to the ground. I'm like, you're a genius when it comes to this kind of stuff because I never would have thought of that. Even
if there's like that's when we get the standards, you try to think of as many ways. Like that's just playing sport, just being an athlete. Hey, what can we?
Or like what you've done with some online qualifiers, like just make it the quote unquote cheaters way, where it's like
just,
you're still.
I don't care how you do it.
Simplified now.
You get the work done.
You get the work done.
That's what we try to do here at Mayhem. Is like,
and not to be a 2-foot jump. Just get over.
Get over it. Who cares? Like, let's not watch all this. Like, we don't have to sit there and and we don't have to Andrew Hiller it. Or if we look there and like, frame by frame, foot.
Exactly.
You know, like let's just get rid of it. Some
just
of those standards. There needs to be standards. Yeah, 100%.
But some things you can be vague with that doesn't hurt the
When I was on the broadcast,
overall.
and I'm not going to throw out names, but somebody said, I'm just glad that there's no standards in these events, and they're just letting the athletes do the thing. And I'm like, oh, I do not like how that is phrased, but I will not get in an argument in a public forum on this right now.
Oh, you should have.
No, because I don't think they meant it the way they said it, but I was like, oh, if somebody gets a hold of this is going to be bad. Because it was something about the handstand walk. I hate that the handstand walk, start behind the line, finish over the line. I hate that you can run and jump into the line, and then it's like when you come down and there's no lines, and they're like, oh, yep, right there. Let's start right there. I'm like,
the judge puts their foot there. That's
like,
the
just
old
do it.
way.
It should be unbroken. Like we're at the point where it should be unbroken. These athletes should be able to do that.
How far was the handstand walk?
Like 25, 50 feet, 50 feet,
50 feet.
50 feet.
I think they did have to go unbroken.
I saw somebody stop.
Really?
Yeah.
So this isn't Rogue's fault, really, because it was a disaster with weather and stuff. But I think, however, they briefed events, and some athletes listened better than others. Paige was second in her heat to
I heard
Danielle
she was
Brandon.
like super confused.
And the handstand walk, and her understanding was that they were going to run around the pylon and run back to the rig. Well, as she's running, Danielle Brandon's in front of her, kicks up into a handstand walk. And so Paige is like, well, I guess we're handstand walking back. That's how she found out about the handstand
nice.
walk.
Yeah, because it was a handstand walk. You ran around the thing and came back and then handstand walked through.
Yes, you do twice,
Yeah.
and she thought it was only once.
Okay. It was better that way. It needed to be the way it was.
Yeah, it was better how it was.
Last thing I'll say, and I want you guys to be honest about it. Don't just say what I want to hear you say.
I won't.
But I know you won't. The weather forced the final to be like under the bleachers. I loved it because it gave me like
Scott, how do you feel
old
about this?
CrossFit vibes.
You don't want to know how I feel about it.
Scott didn't get the media access that he thought he
No.
deserved.
That's not my only complaint.
all weekend. I got to talk to Scott for like 3 seconds as I'd walk each time, and then I'd make fun of him how he was stuck.
I have other complaints about the last event, but I'll probably keep them to myself.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
I don't even. What's the deal with the last event?
They had to go
underneath into the stadium.
So it was raw. It was just gritty and raw. They basically set them back up underneath the bleachers. And it was just like a crowd around them just shouting in their faces, and they had to do it there. So
I saw highlights of it, but I didn't see it.
And by the way, just the new, Scott can confirm or deny, maybe you can too, but like you don't say that gave me such and such vibes anymore. You just said, oh, this is giving me old school.
I hate that.
I was told I'm a boomer. I'm a boomer if I add vibes at the end.
I don't know what
Your daughter?
Yeah. Yeah. All the middle schoolers.
That.
I hate
because it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
You don't say.
Yeah.
You're not saying anything.
Yeah.
Like
somebody at Halloween, one of the kids was like, "Oh, this is giving me Will Ferrell." I was like, "Will Ferrell vibes?"
Yeah.
And it just meant.
Have you heard people say that? Like I could say like this wall is giving me barn.
Dude, I'm so
You're
out
like,
on
what?
that type of stuff.
It just doesn't make sense.
I have potentially.
Makes me want to throw out more than the maggot cheese.
I have potentially a hot take, but maybe it's not because you talked about the tug of war thing.
Yeah.
And I kind of think that maybe they are. I don't know, but to me it seems Rogue, and I like this. Rogue Invitational is trying to put on a show and make the events really fun to watch more than do a test. So that's how something like.
I would agree with that.
Do you think that's good or bad?
I think it's probably good.
Their tag isn't to find the fittest on earth, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think it's probably.
That's why I like it.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I think if
think
you
it's
look at
perfect.
the style of athlete that it caters to, is a more powerful athlete.
Oh, for sure.
You know, like I mean.
And I love when they roll out some super
weird
over-engineered, like the thing
that basket. How much money did it cost to build that basket to throw 3 bags in it?
I don't
understand.
I
loved it.
I don't
it
know
was
the
awesome.
point of it, but it looks sweet.
You know, like, and
so
I love it.
Straight
Bill doesn't
viewership,
care. Yeah, it looks cool.
I agree.
It's cool. Yeah.
No, I mean,
like
I think Bill is 100% transparent with that because even when I
said that,
he's like, it's not about. I mean, yeah, you want to put on a good test, I guess, good, not great test, but it's those workouts are just to find.
They have have access to building this cool stuff.
Cool stuff.
Just like,
it looks cool. You do cool things.
Yeah.
The thing the strongman pulled that.
Sled up
the sled. I don't even know what to call it, but it was awesome.
The cart, and then even
cool.
like they're pulling the barrels from underneath the like wooden structure. You're like, isn't that just a repping out deadlifts?
Yes.
But who cares? It looks cool.
Cool,
You know,
yeah,
like they're
it's
doing
cool.
dead stop deadlifts is all they were doing. And I'm sure it's different. The physics of it all is completely different.
Yeah,
But to me, I'm like,
it's the same idea.
you just built this $30,000 deck
Yeah.
to lift these barrels.
I love
and
it.
hell yeah, I'm in.
Yes, it is.
I'm in.
It's
And so
100%, like,
roller
not just from
coaster,
strongman, but
the roller coaster, like the cart thing. Yeah, no, I think, like I said, I
So
think
cool.
Bill and Katie and all of Rogue, they're just like, hey,
This
let's
would be
make something cool.
Yes.
You know, like that bull, pulling that bull. You're like, there's no telling how much that cost to cast that bull, but who cares? It looks awesome,
Yes.
you know?
And to be fair, I do think they probably found the fittest right now, male and female.
Probably.
At this time of the year.
At this time of year, At this time of year, for sure.
I'm not saying maybe at the games, but maybe. I mean, Laura just won the games.
Yeah.
It was a pretty similar podium.
Similar, yeah.
Pretty similar,
Pat was second, right? And then he won that
probably
road.
right. Yeah, you're probably right.
Was Pat second? Yeah.
So he's probably just fitter right now.
Yeah, they probably found the fittest person right now.
I'd go with that. I would say your top 5 is different than.
For sure.
Like some guys and girls could sneak in more powerful athletes, can sneak into the top 10 that are not the fittest.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Well, Rogue has always been like, even at the games, people are always like, oh, what did Rogue create? You know, it's great. But I'll never forget, I first fell in love with strongman stuff back in the day where they're like, I remember 2 events specifically. One was they had a hollowed out, well, it still had the engine in it, but they had a slug bug.
Oh, yeah.
And they put a harness in it, and you would step under it, you'd stand up, and you would walk a slug bug across the road. And the other one was you were secured to a dock, and you just held onto a handle while a seaplane tried to take off. And it was like whoever held onto it the longest while the seaplane tried to take off. And it was the most gangster, weird, like you couldn't watch it and not be like, oh my God, this is amazing.
That's awesome.
The one that I really loved, and it just looks so boring, is the Hercules hold. They have 2 big pillars and they're just standing there. What's the guy's name who's really good at it?
Probably Magnus for Magnuson. Or something with a
something
with a sun at the end of it.
No.
Yeah, definitely. No. Yep, I'm not even asking.
I'm
telling you.
Slug bugs.
Yeah.
Kids don't know what that is.
No slug back. No slug back.
You didn't see one.
Okay, sorry. It's just a habit. Ouch.
The kids don't do that. We do Jeep.
Oh, really?
The kids do Jeeps.
Oh, really?
And so now it's like it's a nightmare.
Mark Felix. Oh, okay. He has the world record for the Hercules hold.
Thank you. I can sleep now.
But we do every time on the way to school, it's a fight. Jeep because they know kind of where the sweet spots are where people park with Jeeps, and it's a fight, and so it's just turned into like you don't hit, we don't hit there. We don't hit. It's just you call the color, and then it was like, well, does a truck count? Like the Gladiators, did those count? And I'm like, it's still a Jeep from the bed up, so I count them. They're like, well, my friend says the Gladiator or the truck doesn't count. I'm like, just say Jeep truck.
We used to hit each other if there was like a Mini Cooper. Well, like, hey, that wasn't a bug.
So then I've introduced them to slug bug, and they're like, what's a slug bug? And I'm like, well, it was the original. You just don't see bugs anymore, so you can't do the game. Jeeps are everywhere.
Oh yeah, you could be in a complete fist fight.
Well, and so now we've come up with the trifecta. So if you see a Jeep, a PT Cruiser Bruiser, is what we used to call them, and a slug bug all in one car ride, it's the trifecta, and you win.
Oh, love it.
But the kids don't know what
they're
like Cruiser Bruiser, and I'm like, that's not a PT Cruiser.
Yeah. The
Gus
Mini
will
Coopers
still get me
and
on a
the
slug
PT
bug.
Cruisers, we used to fight each other just on those.
The Mini Coopers
looked a little bit like a bug. You'd be like, hey, that wasn't a bug. You can't hit me for that.
Yeah, my kids will be like, oh, there's a Jeep over here, and I'm like, everybody, at least another person has to confirm it.
Yeah.
But there's one at Food Lion every morning in the same spot, and there's one at the Cookville Utility. So it's like a fight to whoever gets it. I'm like, you can't even see it.
Isn't there's a Chrysler dealership here? You could just haul back and forth.
That's true.
You know?
Yeah, crazy.
Oh man,
I'm nervous that we're gonna go to lights out again, so we should end soon. Yep. But I do have a burning question for you guys. I have like a bunch of things listed, but my one thing is like everybody's making this real big deal about Joe Rogan shooting the Tesla truck with an arrow.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
And it bounced off. But was it?
I thought it was cool.
I'm just saying, like, so this is me literally being naive, but like
it would go into.
I didn't see
car.
What
he
shot
my
F-150
into the Cybertruck is what it's called.
Yeah.
And it just
into the side of it,
and it just broke his broadhead. It didn't even leave really a scratch.
That's cool.
Which
I think it would go right.
It would go right.
I know for a fact
it
would because Danny Duncan went to Cam Hanes' place and let him shoot a Lamborghini or something.
Tesla.
Oh, maybe it was.
It was through a Tesla.
Lamborghini.
Right, he went through the windows.
Maybe it was a Tesla, but it wasn't the truck. It was just a normal car. Anyway, he shot a car with an arrow and it went into it.
Okay, good to know.
And Father Stephen
shot his mom's car.
Shot his mom's car through the garage. He was using one of those back pressure releases, which sketches me out anyway. So like you have to keep pulling, and then it eventually just goes.
Oh wow!
Which I don't.
I like those. I
want
to try one.
Why? Anyway,
we already talked about it.
So he tries to pull through, and it just takes off through and ends up in the bumper of his mom's car.
Maybe next time you do lemons, we should fire off an arrow into it.
Me and Matt got a new lemons car actually.
Maybe we should put an arrow.
It'd be cool if you fired some arrows into it.
I would love to.
It's so much fun.
Can we shoot it with an arrow though?
No,
please.
Oh, race it, man.
I know.
It'd be cool to have some arrows hanging out of it.
Wow.
That would be cool.
No, it's gonna slow us down. Drag
like-
from those holes.
they're all just.
All right. Well, that's good to know.
Fletchings.
I thought for me, I saw it and I was like, well, yeah.
No, that's
Okay.
cool.
All right. Thanks for making me a little smarter today, boys. Hey, 2 podcasts in one day that turned into one.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. All right. Peace.